Hello, and welcome to the Table Football Podcast, a podcast set up to discuss both football and Round Table. Round Table and Ladies Circle are national organisations which aim to raise money for local charities, support their local communities, and promote lifelong friendships which span across towns, counties, and nations. If you are between the ages of 18 and 45, are looking to do more with your spare time, enhance your social life, and do some positive things for your local community, Round Table and Ladies Circle are always looking for new members. Visit our website at www.roundtable.co.uk for more information. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 4 of season 2 of the Table Football Podcast. Today is the day I've been waiting for a long time. We finally get to talk about Arsenal. So if this isn't your cup of tea, then I suggest you stop listening now. In fact, no, don't stop listening.
Don't stop listening, yeah.
Stop listening after we talked about the round tables. But so we're talking about Arsenal today. We're recording this today. It's the 18th of November today. So we are just got towards the end of another international break. I feel like we always record these during international breaks. It's not by design. And I've got two wonderful guests on with me today. So firstly, we have Jim from Witham Round Table. How are you doing?
Hello. Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Good to see you. And we've also got Rich Hudson-Smith from Area 14 and Beeston Round Table. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Looking forward to chatting more about Arsenal.
It's always good to talk about Arsenal.
How have you guys found the international break last couple of weeks? Did you watch any of the England games?
No, I didn't actually. Yeah. It reminds me of that woman when you know that GIF when she says, "Oh, not another one." They just seem to be happening so regularly nowadays. It's just getting ridiculous. But
what is it now? Is it 3 we've had since the start of the season?
Something like that.
So.
It's just ridiculous. Every time you start to get any momentum, you go and have an international break. It doesn't really mean much. Get a few players injured. It's just terrible.
It was quite interesting to see how many players actually dropped out on this time. You know, you had Declan Rice dropped out. I think Saka pulled out, and Cole Palmer pulled out, and everything else. And quite a few of the fans are like, "Oh well, you know, it's the clubs basically telling their players to report injured when they're not." And you know, it's becoming more.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it is, but I mean, like we all know, obviously for Rice and Saka, they've been carrying knocks for a couple of weeks, haven't they?
Yeah.
Rice is playing with a specialised boot, for goodness sake, to protect his toe. If you don't need to go and play, you don't go and play, do you?
No, exactly. It is what it is. I suppose I've not really kept up to date with England recently. I mean, obviously I know Tuchel's taken over in January, but it'd be interesting to see how England develop under him. You know, it's been an interesting few years. It's almost like we've been close, but not quite made it. You know, could it be that Tuchel takes us over the line? Who knows? But be interesting if it's a German that ends up winning the World Cup for England, doesn't it?
Controversial. Very controversial.
It's funny, isn't it? Because there was I feel like the media just went stupid over the whole, it's a German. Yeah. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's a man paid to do a job. Like they are. Yeah. And he's competitive enough that that's not going to be a thing, is it? He's going to want to win. He's going to want that on his TV. So I just think, you know, that yes, there are lots of examples of countries that have never gone down that route, but there's plenty of examples of ones that have.
You look at other sports. We've had Australians in charge of the rugby union side and the cricket side, and both been really successful. And there are, you know, arguably our biggest rival at that sport. So why not?
And then the other thing is it's almost, you know, it's a case of there aren't too many better that we could have got. You know, I felt a bit like I thought Klopp would have been another German, but he would have been ideal. And before he went to Red Bull and signed up to the Red Bull system, and obviously Pep's, rumours are that Pep's going to potentially sign a new contract at City. So it'd be interesting if he signed a new contract with United, wouldn't it? But I think it's the best appointment that we could possibly have got in the circumstances, to be fair. So and they just need to give him a chance. So whatever nationality he is.
I've kind of felt that the England team is good enough now. Like it's good enough it's clearly good enough to get to major finals. Maybe not the World Cup quite yet, but Euros wise, we've done it twice in succession now. For me, it's that tactical. It's having a tactician at that critical moment. When you're like 60 minutes into a game, 70 minutes into a game, and you need that person that can slightly outfox the opposing manager. And I feel like, although it's difficult because actually there were a few times where Gareth Southgate made some subs and I was like, this is stupid. And then I can't remember who it was. They then scored and I was like, oh, this is the best idea ever.
I think you might have even put that in the group chat, actually.
Yeah,
I don't think Southgate was brave enough, if I'm honest. I think you need a manager. It's different with international football. You need a manager that's actually got the balls to just go, do you know what? I'm gonna hank the best player off the. Let's face it, Kane was at the time England's best player, and then he had an awful World Cup, and he should have been hanked off quite a lot sooner in most matches. And he didn't have the guts to do that. And I think Tuchel is the sort of manager that will just go, do you know what? I don't care about how big of a player you are. I'm going to take you off, and it doesn't matter. And that's what it needs. It needs somebody like that. So.
I mean, taking aside the clowns down the road element, where are we all on Harry Kane now? Because he thinks he's going to America. He certainly thinks he's going to go out there and win the World Cup for us. And I really can't see it. About 600.
Yeah,
in football years.
You know what? Hang on, I'm going to Google it.
I'd say 32. I'd say 32 to 35, something like that.
I was going to say he's in his 30s because he did an article today saying people say your career's starting to descent at 30 or needs but he said, I don't feel like that. I feel like I'm in the form and the prime of my life. It's like, well, play like it then, mate.
He's only 31.
Is he?
He's only 31, yeah. I thought he was older than that. I feel like he's been around forever. But then that's probably a mark of how young he was when he sort of started playing at that level. But so 31, is it 2 years' time?
Yeah.
So it'd be 33, good maths, 33. So
yeah,
he could be there, couldn't he?
It's not unheard of.
The thing is, I think ultimately the thing is with him is there's nobody better in the position that he plays for England. Because let's face it, Cole Palmer, Foden, Saka, none of them can play in that position. They're not that type of player. They're all sort of drop back and make play, or or on the wing from the wing. So ultimately, you've got to find a player, or you either drop one of those three ultimately, or adapt the way you play, or find somebody lesser that that isn't so good, but is going to be play the similar way that we do. And Tony's blown it, I think, by going out to Saudi.
Yeah.
He's not going to be in it anytime soon. He took the money because I think he just thought, well, Kane's there and I'm not going to get a chance. Watkins is possibly the closest that we've got. And even he isn't that type of player, I don't think. I think he's of a similar ilk to sort of Saka and Palmer, but I don't think he's as good. So, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, I've not watched a lot of international football recently since the Euros, but for me, it was a bit. What I have seen of him is whenever we're playing down the wings, we're getting the ball down there in a great big hurry, and then there's no one in the middle. He's he's 10 yards
He's
back
not
from
there.
where he should be. So he's not arriving on the penalty spot. He's barely arriving at the D. And it's like, you know, these young lads are moving really, really quick. You need to be further ahead.
Yeah.
If you're going to be there, if you're going to drop back and make play, it's a bit different, isn't it? But he needs to do one or the other.
But this is it. It doesn't work. Like, so there was that criticism, wasn't there, during the Euros about him dropping deep, which he always does. And you know, like you said, you're right. If you've got nippy wingers, you want your number 9 to be the whatever it is they call it, the fox in the box. The one that's just there to just. Which he's very good at doing. He's very good at scoring those sorts of goals, you know. But then I think there was that thing about how he played for Bayern and that possibly impacting it. And I don't know, you know, in his final years at Spurs, they were, you know, at times he was carrying them a little bit, wasn't he? So there is a good argument for it for a younger striker. I mean. I can't see us not taking him, if I'm honest, because I kind of think I don't know who else. I don't know who else. You would take at least 3 strikers, wouldn't you? Probably 4, and so he would be one. Watkins would definitely be included. Yeah. I'm trying to think who else would. Well,
there's the guy at Aston Villa, isn't there? That's coming off the bench that was behind Watkins.
John Duran.
John? Yeah.
Is he English?
I thought he was. I might be wrong. I thought he was, but I might. Yeah. I had a feeling, but yeah, okay. I'm sure they've mentioned him about him potentially breaking in, but once again, he's not going. You know, he's not. You know, there's been a lot of the Villa fans and stuff have sort of said they're coming out saying, well, they think he's a more clinical than Watkins. So, you know, and if that's the case, and he is English, I might have got that completely wrong, but if he is English and that's the case, then you know maybe take him. He's the sort of Kane person that you need there.
To clarify, John Duran cannot get on the plane. He is 100% Colombian.
Colombian, right? Okay.
and he's played 7 games for Colombia, right. So it's not even a question of getting repatriated and. Yeah, but
shows what I know. I'll quit now.
So let's talk about the kits everyone's got on, because I can see some, classic shirts today. I'm actually quite impressed that we've all got slightly different colours as well. I thought we'd all go with red, but that's I like this. I've got this is actually the first football shirt I ever owned as a child.
It still fits.
And but they were made big. I say this every time. They were made big then, and it now fits well. And back then, it was a big fit. So yes, it was an adult.
Is that the
fit.
Dreamcast?
Yeah, the Dreamcast one.
Yeah.
2002, I think it was. I've got the away shirt as well. That's pretty up, but they're both pretty iconic shirts. But so this is my one. Which one have you got? Is that like 2006? That one.
I can't remember exactly what year it was, but it was the thing. I mean, you'd probably work it back from this. So it would have been Eduardo would have been playing in this, and because he broke his leg that season against Birmingham, didn't he? And it was that horrendous tackle, and it's sort of an Arsenal. I think Arsenal were top of the league at that point, and it was. I don't know, 3/4 of the way season, halfway through the season. And it's my biggest sort of thing that I struggle with is that injury that costs, I think we would have won the league that year if it wasn't for that injury. I think this is the kit at the season, possibly the season after. It might be the kit season after when he came back. But that season, we collapsed when Gallas, sat on the pitch and cried and, it was just horrendous. So it's probably, that was, I'd say, 2000 and something. Probably, you're probably correct, to be fair. Like that.
I've just looked it up. It's 2007, 2008. 2006 is the one that Jim's got on. That's the final Highbury year one, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the final Highbury year. It's got Bergkamp on the back as obviously his final year as well. But
Yeah, so I've got that one as well, but I've got Highbury 93 on the back because it was 93 years at Highbury, wasn't it? So,
nice. So
yeah.
the away kit for this kit, I think, is not dissimilar to the one RHS has got on, but it had the marble pattern on it, didn't it? It was meant to emulate the marble halls of Highbury, and that's why it was awful, if I remember.
Yeah.
But I wore the kit you're wearing now to the last Arsenal game I took my son to, and the woman at the station thought I was getting on the train to go and watch West Ham because she could only see this bit of it. I was like, oh God, no.
Yeah,
there's writing on the kit. I think it's about, I can't remember the history behind it, but there's writing behind on the, you probably can't see it on the camera, but all over this shirt. It's different players' names, or there's a story behind it, or I'd have to go away and I should have gone away and researched it before I wore it. But I think it's one of my it's the one that I've got a few, but it's a bit different, so I thought I'd change it up a little bit. And yeah,
I remember going to see them. I mean, I only managed to get to Highbury once before it got, well, it's not demolished, is it? It's flats now, isn't it? But and I went to see them play, I think it was Cardiff in the FA Cup that year. Because I remember I had to get the train up from uni to do it, and I'm so glad I did, because they just don't make grounds like that anymore. And actually, I get quite. No, you shouldn't get emotional about building, should you? But like, I love the fact that you can just walk along. Is it Gillespie Road? Or one of the. It's one of the where the old East stand is, and it's still there. The same fronting, this sort of Art Deco design. And it's just beautiful.
I mean, there was nowhere else. Yeah. There was nowhere else like it, was there? You know, from the architecture of the building, it was just, you know, there weren't too many. There certainly isn't many. I can't think of any stadiums. There's probably lower league stadiums now that are similar. Craven Cottage is probably the closest.
I'm thinking top. Fulham, possibly Fulham still.
Yeah, and you know, and it was a wonderful sight. I mean, and I no matter what people say, I don't think the Emirates has got that, because it's a modern stadium, and ultimately a lot of the time the modern stadiums are so similar that they're all built by the same person. Whatever else, Wembley was built by the same person as the Emirates was built. So there's no sort of difference between them, and it was nice to see that when Highbury was there, and it's nice to see Craven Cottage being used still, because, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if that goes eventually, and that'll be the only one left, really. So yeah, it's a shame to see it go, but I think I went to Highbury twice. I went to the Bergkamp, I think it was not the last game, but I think they played Villa, or I certainly went to see him play Blackburn years and years ago, because I've got a friend who took me. His son played for Manchester, for Blackburn. He used to play for Manchester United, but he played for Blackburn at the time. So I went to the Highbury a couple of times, it was one of the last games that I went to. But incredible place.
So we're going to do a bit of a section about the respective tables. I don't know who. We'll go with Jim first. You can talk about Witham. So what? So first and foremost, I guess what is it that got you into Witham Round Table?
Well, so when I first joined Round Table, I was in Sudbury Round Table, which is in Suffolk, just north of Howstead, sort of about 20 minutes away from here, really. But my dad was in Malden District Round Table when I was quite small, so I was always sort of a Round Table, going on the sort of the camping weekends, and going out with the Santa sleigh and doing all those bits as a kid. And then as an adult, in about 2013, 14, a friend of mine said, "Oh, you should come and join Round Table. It'd be really good for you." And I'd never really sort of given it much of a second thought. I'd had fond memories of it. So I got involved there. Sudbury sadly sort of ran out of energy, and I'd moved. I'd left Housestead to move to Witham, so I joined Witham Round Table, and that was just post COVID. I think the first Witham Round Table meeting I actually went to in person that wasn't on Teams was in a field. When you could meet, you're allowed to meet 7 people or something, weren't you? So one of the guys lived in Silver End, and a few of us lived in Witham. So we all took a camping chair and a few beers and went and met in a field on a footpath halfway between the two, and took fish and chips and had a fish and chip supper in the middle of a field on a summer's evening. It was actually a really nice little event. So yeah, that's sort of what got me into it. And then sort of moving forward a few years now, for my sins, I'm now currently chairman of Witham Round Table, but we're a relatively small table. There's 4 or 5 of us, so not many at all, with a couple of prospects in the pipeline now, which is good. We're just getting ready now for our Christmas tree deliveries. So every year with Chelmsford and Southend-on-Sea and Lee, we do Christmas deliveries. We have a website people can log on to, and depending on whereabouts you live in like the catchment area, as it were, you order your Christmas tree, either a 5, 6 or 7 footer, stands, various other bits you can do, and then we deliver them all. It's normally the first.
Good.
Yeah, so it's normally the first weekend of December. We're doing it the 30th of November this year, and then obviously the proceeds of that then go to sort of providing for families that might need a bit of extra food or things like that at Christmas time. So that's where we are at the moment. Went to our first. Me and one of the other guys went to our first national sporting weekend this weekend, where I met Sheppy in passing. He just kept running past. And he wasn't even the fastest on his team. I couldn't keep up with any of them, if I'm honest.
I wasn't fastest still.
It was just like, oh, there goes another one. Oh, there goes. Oh, no. It was terrible. I was never that fast on 11-a-side. Why? I thought I could play 7-a-side as a 41-year-old. I've got no idea.
The funny thing is, I remember so we had Ollie on a couple of episodes ago, and he brought the trophy with him. It's literally still sat in his pride of place in his study.
Oh, I can imagine.
He's very happy about it still. But I remember the night before when we were out having drinks, giving it the chat. I was like, I'm going to run so much tomorrow. We're going to win, blah, blah. And then the first game, I can't remember. I think we played area. I think it was area 6 we played, and they were pretty good as well. And within a minute, I thought I was going to die. It wasn't even like it wasn't even like, oh, I feel slightly unfit. I actually thought I was going to pass out at one point, because it was I'd run for something, and then everything just caught up with me.
Oh, standing by that gate, and like you just come off, and you're standing by that gate, and someone says, "I'll sub." You're like, no, I'm not ready, not yet. I'm still in pain. But all good fun.
It was good. It was a really good. It was a really good weekend. That really enjoyed it. Looking forward to next year's one.
Yeah, it was even better than Area 14 one as well.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
I thought Round Table International went home with the trophy, didn't
they? They have. Yeah, it's in Norway, and they've tried. They were going to try, and they wanted me to go out at the end of November, and I was just like, yeah, no. With baby and stuff, and the amount I've committed to already this year, I'm not going to have to give it a miss. So I'm hoping somebody brings it back, and I will have to go up to Lancashire or somewhere like that. But or I'll go
whatever they're called.
Yeah, or I'll go next year before I hand over to somebody else. So I just thought I'd have to get that in there just to Area 14 one. So.
No, deservedly so. It was well attended by Area 14, which is, to be honest, is usually the best predictor of. Although it was well attended by Area 33 as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were massive. We had I think we had about 55 people there, but
yeah, I had a feeling, because obviously Area 6 went en masse because it's their area. When we lost in Lancaster, I said to the lads, because I said, they were talking about hosting it. And I said, well, the next time you host it, I'm going to come and beat you on your own patch. And they just went, yeah, very funny. And obviously, we did end up doing it. So, but yeah, I mean, and obviously Area 33 were massively attended. But I think it was all to do with, I mean, whoever came up with the idea of those two. It was the Team Louis and Team Marchese.
Yeah, the merge teams. Yeah.
Whoever came up with that deserves a pat on the back, because that's ultimately what ended up winning it for Area 14. But because
I loved it.
It was split so much.
I really enjoyed it because I've attended. Well, oh god, hang on. I think that was my fourth or fifth NSW, and I've Area 9 only. I mean, the biggest attendance we had, we sent about 7 about 3-4 years ago. So we're never up there as a, and the thing is, you don't send numbers, you can't compete, and it does kind of, it sort of stalls the weekend a bit, because all of the competition, you're like, well, we can't even field a team in every event. So it was nice to be part of the conversation this time, and I think they put the cat amongst the pigeons a bit, because I think we beat Area 6 quite a few times. We beat them to first place in a few.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I think we played Area. The ultimate frisbee. I think it was we didn't stand a chance, and then all of a sudden we were playing. I think you guys or somebody else basically came second. They came second quite a few times, which meant that the other areas, like the areas that you'd expect to be up there, like, he beat us a couple of times in some of the things, and Area 33 and Area 6, and that, and also it just improves people's, improves people getting together, because you've got teams of people all over the country, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
So, Rich, what round table are you from? You're Beeston, aren't you?
I am Beeston, yeah. So near Nottingham, yeah.
Talk us through Beeston and Area 14.
Yeah, so Beeston's something like 12 to 15 members, so we're doing really well. Our big fundraiser is the Santa Sleigh, which obviously I think we do roughly about 12 to 14 nights, something like that. So we're starting on the 1st of December, and then we're going until I think it's the 19th of December. And so that's our busiest time, and then we do an OAP dinner in January. So basically, after Christmas, we send invitations out to local APs that might be alone at Christmas or whatever, and we pay for them to come and have a Christmas meal, and we do bingo for them and stuff, and that's all free, and we'll pick them up, and just to give them something to look forward to, because there's so many older people around Christmas time. It's probably one of the hardest times of year for them all. So that's the big thing from Beeston. And then Area 14's doing all right. Obviously, as I said, when NSW, I'll get it in there again. And we're at I think it's about 150 members across Area 14. So for those that don't know, Area 14 covers Leicester, Leicestershire, Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire, so it's quite a big area. You go all the way up to, I think Grantham is the furthest north, borders Lincolnshire, so it's from one side, and we got Burton on the other side. So from one side to the other, it's sort of a 2-hour journey, which is difficult to get people together because of the distance sometimes. We're doing all right, and I'm getting out and about, and I think that's the main thing as area chairman is just turning up and supporting. It's the 90th year I found this out after I'd already put my name forward for Vice, but it's the 90th year of Area 14 this year, so we've got a big celebration on the 29th of March. So anybody that wants to know more and stuff, get in touch, and obviously looking for people to come along and celebrate with us for that. So,
well, we can. Have you got a website for that?
29th of March. So it's on. So if people want it, it's not necessarily a website. It's more of a case of it's on Spond for the Area 14 Spond. So we use Spond for all our events, which I think a lot of people do now because of the workshops that we'll put in place. So if anybody wants to find out more, get in touch with me, or try and find the Area 14 group on Spond, and it'll be on there. And I can send you an email and stuff with all the details. So.
Okay, we'll try and put some details in the in the chat at the bottom, so people can find that. That's great. And so how many guys have you got in Beeston?
I think it's I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head, but it's towards the 15. I think it may be 12, something like that. But we've got a few prospects on the cards, and we're a reasonable size. I think if you start getting to any more than that, you start see there's people that you don't see regularly, which can be difficult. So I think it's a good number at the moment.
Rich, as a side note, was it Beeston Round Table that came on the Hendu bus to NSW?
Yes, it was. Yes, yeah.
I was saying to Shepp, they were the first people I met when I arrived. We did the pilgrimage from the car park up to sign in, and then decided we needed a beer, and they just landed. So they were the first other tablers I spoke to when I arrived.
Nice one. Yeah. So you probably would have met Dan and Ash, and Dan's the national events officer, and so we've got a national guy in our group. I actually didn't travel with them. I was in Norwich already because I was there for the week with family because I've got family around there. So but from all intents and purposes, they turned up and they were pissed before they'd even gone on the pub crawl the night.
Oh, massively,
yeah. So
it's that whole weekend is just a blur, to be honest. Right, should we get on to talking about Arsenal? I know we've all been looking forward to this.
Oh, I think we should.
Yeah. So I'll let you go first, because I know you've been supporting them for a long time, and you've probably got more memories of it than I do. So what was it got? Why did you settle on Arsenal when you were a kid? Is it like a family connection, or?
So it was a lovely way of saying calling me old, but
I did think that halfway through.
Oh shit! How am I going to get out of
sort of swerve?
Didn't work. It was. So my grandfather was a lifelong Arsenal fan. He took up. They used to live in London, and he took up supporting Arsenal because his older brother supported West Ham, and he thought it'd annoy him. So he was an Arsenal fan. My mum's sister was then obviously an Arsenal fan because of it. She met her husband, who was also a fan. They got their season tickets in the 70s. And then obviously I was born a decade or so later and was surrounded by these Arsenal fans. And my aunt was really cool because she'd come round to my grandparents in a little Triumph Spitfire and things like that. And it was just like, this is really cool. I want to support this team. So that's how I sort of fell in love with the Arsenal. And then my uncle took me to my first game, which was a home game at Highbury against Southampton, sitting in the clock end. And it was Bergkamp's first goals for the Arsenal. It was getting to that point just after he'd signed. He hadn't scored very many goals for us. And he certainly hadn't scored any at Highbury. And the clowns up the road were all singing, "We all know Armstrong's better than Bergkamp," which sort of gives you an idea of where we were.
With that age like milk.
With that sort of, age like really old milk. And my aunt took my grandparents around holiday. So she said, did I want to use her season ticket and go with my uncle to watch the Arsenal, which I obviously jumped at. And while she was away, he banged in 2 against Southampton. So she was unimpressed, to say the least, to have missed that. But it was a 4-2 win. He scored 2, Wrighty scored 1, and Tony Adams with a diving header. Oh, it was an incredible game. I think Ian Wright's goal, he probably should have passed, but I think he was like, I'm not having this bloke take my limelight, because I remember him. He just absolutely creamed it at the goal, and it went off. It went off both posts and the crossbar before it went in. It sort of went around the goal as it went in.
Brilliant.
So Dennis Bergkamp, he's 95, wasn't it? He signed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
95. Yes.
Yeah, because Wenger signed Wenger came in 96 and
96.
And
That's
Rioch,
right.
It was Bruce Rioch who.
Yeah, was Bergkamp Rioch's last signing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember listening to Ian Wright. I don't think he was talking about Bergkamp actually. Specifically, I think he might have been talking about Anelka. About when the day Anelka arrived was the day he realised that his time was up. Basically.
I was gutted. I mean, growing up, Ian Wright was my hero. Incredible player. And when we signed Anelka, I was absolutely gutted because Ian Wright was the player that I always looked up to, and I had on my shirt and stuff when I was a kid. And then then Wenger brings in this kid that nobody knows, and the rest is history type thing. Best
business we ever did, that wasn't it? I think he bought him for 500,000 and sold him for upwards of 20 million, didn't we? So
23 million.
23 million. Sold him for,
did very well there.
I mean, I started supporting. My history's a bit strange because I can't remember when I started supporting him. It was young, I didn't know at the time, but my granddad, my mum's dad, supported Arsenal when growing up, and so there is family history there. But my sister started supporting Manchester United mainly because I think she had the hots for Lee Sharp, so she supported Manchester United. And quite early on, apparently, I don't remember this, but my mum tells me vividly. She's like, I suddenly turned to my mum and said, "Oh, I want to support somebody," and I turned to her. I said, "Oh, I'm going to support Arsenal," and my mum burst into tears apparently because obviously my mum's dad supported Arsenal, and she was, I didn't know him because he died before I was born. And she was quite a moving thing for her, and I've supported them ever since. So there's no reason why. It was more of a case of I just wanted to support a team, and Arsenal were the choice. So
I mean, it's as good a reason as any.
It's a good choice.
I legitimately tell people, and the thing is, I think I don't really remember following football much before about 1994. Or 95, roughly when that one of the first Premier League sticker book albums came out, and obviously Arsenal would have been first on the first club in that. So part of me thinks I'd probably just open that book and just didn't bother going beyond the first page. Sounds exactly like the sort of thing I would do. But I mean, in fairness, so where I grew up, it's not that far to Arsenal from there. But I don't really have. My family would never. They weren't bothered about football. There was no football in my household growing up. It was only when I got to like sort of 14, 15, 16 where I started watching it a lot more religiously. And it sort of grew from there. But yeah, I do remember the infamous 1995 Winners' Cup final.
Oh, Zaragoza!
That's one of
from the halfway line. Oh,
yeah, it's like we're all psychologically damaged from football, aren't we? One way or another. Like it doesn't matter who you support. You carry the scars with you for life, and that's one of them. And it was a very young scar. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm roughly thinking that's probably my earliest memory. I think I supported them before that, but I can't. I would have been, that year I would have been 10. So I think that's my first big memory is the heartbreak of that. But then I think for me there's two other memories that stick in my mind is Tony Adams scoring against Everton in the final game of the season when we won the Premier League. I think it was 98 or something like that. And it was one of his final games, and that was a big memory because it was like the commentary. It's like Adams, it's brilliant. And then I think the other one is a gutting memory is the Wayne Bridge scoring in the semi-final for Chelsea in the Champions League and in the last one of the penultimate minutes or something, and it looked like Arsenal would get through, and I think it was the semi-final, and they just it was hard. That was hard. That was probably one of my worst memories of that, other than Barcelona, obviously. But yeah,
we've got there's a few scarring memories in our past, isn't there? We've got Ryan Giggs in the FA Cup semi-final, running it through the entire team, and then Seaman doing his trademark sidestep, which leaves him completely flat-footed and gets the ball blasted over his head time after time. I think my earliest sort of really vivid memory of the Arsenal was we had 2 cup finals against Sheffield Wednesday in 1 year. Just trying to remember which year that was. When I say remember, I'm Googling it. It would have been the late 80s, 93. There you go. It was later than that. But yeah, 92, 93 season. FA Cup and League Cup.
Was Ian Wright playing at the time? Because I think he mentions it in his autobiography.
Yeah. So we won both, but the second was a replay after a 1-1 draw, which Steve Morrow couldn't play in because Tony Adams dropped him when they were celebrating winning the previous week.
I've heard this.
And he broke his arm.
I've seen the footage as well. I've seen the footage, yeah.
So that's one of my earliest sort of ecstasy to hilarity to just downright ridiculous memories of the Arsenal, I would say. That's probably that. And then, yes, we had sitting in the kitchen watching the Cup Winners' Cup final that we won the year before, then watching the one we're not going to talk about ever again because it just hurts too much. And the fact that he used to play for Spurs.
Yes, the cup. So I must have watched the Cup Winners' Cup final the year before because it was against Parma and Alan Smith scored. But I don't recall the game, and I don't recall any memory of that game as much as I do the Naeem thing. And it's funny how
that's because no one will let us forget the Naeem thing.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a big. It really winds me. I mean, it probably winds up all Arsenal fans. But whenever people reference like, "You've never won a European trophy," I was like, "We have." we literally did. Like, just because it's not a thing that exists anymore now. The Cup Winners' Cup in its time was definitely at least on par with the Europa League, I'd say.
There wasn't a Champions League. You went was there?
There was a European Cup, wasn't there? Though.
Yeah, there was a European Cup, and then there was the Cup Winners' Cup.
Yeah,
but the Cup Winners' Cup was. I think it was harder to win the Cup Winners' Cup because you don't get into it unless you win your. We had to win the FA Cup, didn't we? Which was basically you end up beating everybody in the country because. Ultimately they knock each other out and whatever. I know that doesn't necessarily mean that you beat everybody in the country, but you may as well say that. And then the winners of the cups play each other, and so ultimately you end up beating every side in Europe pretty much if you look at it like that. But yeah, I think. But obviously the European Cup tends to have the bigger teams in it because it's usually. Back in the day, I guess it was the league winners that tend to be. I mean, it's completely changed now, and I think it needs to. It's not the Champions League anymore. You need to change the name because But
when you can get a place down to 7th, it sort of loses its zing a little bit, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
But it was like it wasn't even like because I think back in the day that competition was a straight knockout, wasn't it? It was just a knockout competition from the get. There were no group stages or anything.
No.
And some of the teams we played, I mean, I remember even in the year we lost, we played Sampdoria, I think it was, in the semi-final and beat them on penalties. And that Sampdoria team, if we look back at the people that were in it, they were stacked. It was like Mancini. There was some really good players, and you just kind of, it annoys me when people try and whitewash that. As if we've never, yes, we don't have as much European heritage as some other clubs.
We've never won the Champions League, but come on.
But I mean, I think that's the one thing that people can hang over our necks is we've never won the European Cup, and that is always going to be as long as we don't win it, that's always going to be the thing. And I mean, we're not going to win it this year. Let's face it. We might do, or we might. I think we'll get through the league, because apparently you can't call it group stage anymore because of licensing or something. I don't know. But we'll get through. I think we'll get through the league. But who knows what'll happen? You look at it's thrown this league thing as seems to have worked for them, because Real Madrid are losing to whoever they're losing to, and Man City lose to blooming Sporting, for instance. And I think it's certainly made the Champions League more competitive, and Aston Villa are top of the league, so it's good for them, and long may it continue from that perspective for English sides. I'm not the sort of person. I used to, when I was younger, I used to be like, I want the English side to lose because I'm an Arsenal fan. I don't feel like that anymore. It's more of a case of let's see the English teams do all right, and as long as that continues, I think we've got a chance. So
it's funny, the league format this year, because a lot of people criticise the early games being a bit soulless, and some of the atmospheres have been a bit flat, and that's probably what happens. I mean, I think the next 4 games it's going to ramp up, because obviously it's starting to become apparent now what certain teams need to do. And I mean, to be honest, Arsenal, I think, are probably they're safe now. I think
they're safe,
we will get through. The question is whether we will need to play a playoff game, to get to the round of 16. And when you look at some of the other teams that are in that at the moment, you think, I'd rather we didn't do that.
But
how's it working after the league then?
So the top 8 go straight through to the last 16. Don't have to play any other games. If you're between 9th and I think
16th, isn't it?
Oh, it's more than that, I think. Oh, no, it has to be more than that, because I think it's like 24th or something. Are there 32 or 34 teams or something?
I think so, something like that. Yeah.
I think only 8 actually go out of this round. So everyone else gets chucked into this straight knockout type game, two-legged game that you have to play. And so you then play that game, and then if you win that game, you then go in and join the other 8. So eight other teams will join the 8 that go through in the top. So
I would say that if we go, I'm going to stick my neck out now, and let's say that if we end up in the playoffs and we play, I over a 2-leg, I think hopefully our form improves. I mean, we're not been great recently. If we play the way that we've been playing recently, and we play somebody like Inter or Real Madrid or whatever, I think we'll lose in the knockouts. So it's difficult. I think we need to get through I think we need to go straight through to stand a chance. Because 2 legs for me makes it difficult, because I think is the other games, if you once you get past that playoffs, is it 2 legs for everything then, or is it just 1?
Oh no, it's 2 legs, I think, for all of the knockout games. Yeah. But I mean, we played Inter now. I mean, I kind of expected that we were going to lose to Inter, because that was the hardest game of all of the, it was the away fixture against the Category A side. So The next game we've got is
Sporting.
away, which is going to be a difficult game as well. Although they haven't got their manager anymore, so that's positive, isn't it?
Got banana skin written all over it.
So when we get through that game, we've got, I think the games that I think we can get 9 points from the last 4 games. I think if we assume we lose that one, then we've got Monaco at home, who I think we should beat, although they're doing really well as well. I think they're in the top 8 at the moment. And then I think we've got Shakhtar or someone at home as well. I've definitely seen that come up on the emails. And then I think we've got an away fixture against one of the lowest group ranked sides. So I can't remember who it was. So I think it's doable. We can get top 8, but we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? And then can you beat?
But the other thing is, if you have knockouts, there's another 2 games that you got to fill. And we're struggling for injuries as it is. Ben White's out. For our 12 weeks is it now with an injury? I think our defense is looking. At one point it was looking strong, and now we've had all these injuries that almost decimated the defense. I think last season we were very lucky with injuries, and we didn't have that many, and I think that's why we. I think that masked, for me, I think that probably masked my view of how good we were, possibly. And now, because we're back to having the injuries that we used to have a little bit, it's almost, we haven't got the squad that we need, but we haven't got the sort of money that Man City have got, so we're never going to get to that level, I don't think.
So, Jim, I'm going to bring you in.
Yeah.
Question: do you think we're going to win the league this year?
My sensible head says no, for pretty much the same reasons Rich has just outlined. But then the sort of the romantic in me, if you like, thinks, well, City have proven that they're very beatable this season. They've shelled almost as many points as we have. Liverpool look amazing at the moment, but
formidable.
Normally their bubble gets burst at some point during the season, doesn't it? So I think there's still I still sensibly I say no. Maybe we do another FA Cup, but I think we can do it. I don't. I just I want to believe we can do it, but at the moment. But I'll go up there on Saturday. We'll beat Nottingham Forest, and then ask me again, and I'll be like, yeah, we'll definitely win the league. this is our year. But yeah, sensibly probably not.
Do you think? Just a question back at both of you. Do you think Arteta's good enough to win the league?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm not saying sack him. I'm not saying that at all. But he's
definitely got it. He just like you say, he hasn't got the financial backing. You look at our signings, and it seems that especially with Edu going as well, but it was sort of like it was like a more modern version of the Wenger era, wasn't it? It was like, I want this player. Okay, well you can't have him, but you can have this guy that costs 10 million pound less, and you can get the best out of him, which Arteta seems to be brilliant at doing. Getting players revved up and playing to their full capacity. I'd say he's absolutely brilliant at that. They just need to give him a couple of better players. Certainly in the forward line. As much as I love Gabriel Jesus, he's probably past it now. He's good for your Southampton Bournemouth games, or your third round cup ties, things like that. And then you look at who else we've got up front, and you think, Havertz. Yeah, he's had a brilliant start to the season, but he's gone off the boil. He's, you need that Ian Wright type character, don't you? Like you say, who's lightning quick and just going to be in the middle every time the ball gets pinged in. We're making up the goals from the midfield, but you can't do that forever.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was surprised we didn't. We have spent a lot of money, haven't we? We probably need to be to ourselves. Arsenal's, I don't know what Arsenal's wage budget is or transfer bill, but we're definitely up there in like the top 3 or 4, aren't we, in the country?
We're only paying a third of Raheem Sterling's wages.
Yeah, no, but that's
and he's only given us a third of his ability. So
that's a complete that's a complete flop, isn't it? I don't know. I still don't understand why we signed him.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was meant to happen there.
The thing is, it gets tricky, doesn't it? Because we as fans always have really rose-tinted, like, well, why don't they just go out and buy this player? And it's difficult because these are people who've got career aspirations and they want. So not all of them will want to come anyway. Full stop. Some of them will want ridiculous money to do that, and so at some point the club has to put their foot down and go, well, we're walking away from this, which is I think is what they've done a few times with players, and or clubs like they did with was it Shakhtar who in the whole
it was Mudryk
debacle. So for me, money doesn't always equal quality, although it is strongly linked to it. Trossard didn't cost that much and is probably been one of the best signings in the last few years. Although he has sort of gone a bit hot and cold now, hasn't he? But he's a very good impact player. I think I was surprised they didn't buy a striker over the summer. I thought that was the clear thing we needed. And I think it's going to be just as difficult next year to get one.
Part of me thinks, well, so until Edu left and walked away, it seemed like they'd always, if they didn't get a particular signing, it was almost like in your head you trusted that they'd got somebody else lined up potentially, and they what we've seen recently is they've been prepared to wait for that signing or whatever, that and it's worked out because I'm trying to think of a good example of where we've waited, and Declan Rice is probably the best example where everybody had written us off to sign him because Man City were in for him and whatever, but if you believe the news, we'd been in talks with him since January the January before we signed him. So in my head, I like to think that they've potentially got somebody lined up already. But I don't know whether that may well have changed now that Edu's left. And I think that it'd be interesting to see how much of an impact that will have on the future. Because when I saw it, I was gobsmacked because I thought, he seemed to work well with Arteta. They were friends, and you look at all the All and Nothing documentary and how things have changed in the back room and how much Arsenal have come on since Arteta came in. Look at Emery and what he did at Arsenal, and it's amazing what he's doing at Villa now. But for some reason it didn't work at Arsenal, whatever the reason is. So it'd be interesting to see what happens now Edu's left, and I hope it works out and it's almost like nothing's changed, but I'm worried that it might make a big difference.
I've got my fingers crossed at the moment that some heavy sanctions are coming at Man City, and then maybe we'll have a bargain bucket of pick and mix any Man City players you want.
Yeah, well, that'd be interesting because I think we've gone beyond that now. Because the players that we Jesus and Zinchenko weren't needed at Man City anymore. We signed them as a okay, we're developing, so they're good enough for our first team. But actually, I think the players that we need a first team player at Man City now. We're at that level, I think, now where we can only go their second team or their bench players aren't going to improve us, I would say, to a certain extent.
No, exactly. So, we need for Erling Haaland to turn around and say, I don't want to play against Dagenham and Redbridge. Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? I firmly believe. I made the prediction that we were going to win the league this year. I am not changing my prediction. I am not being reactive about things at all. We are 4 points behind where we were last season at this point, and we had an absolutely dog awful Christmas, didn't we, last year? So if we don't have a bad Christmas, things could change, and things could change quite quickly. If Liverpool lose they seem like they're really far ahead at the moment, but all it takes is they lose once, and then all of a sudden that 9 points is down to 6, and actually only 4 between them and City, and then they've got to play City as well. So both of those will either at least one of them will drop points, if not both.
I hate to say it, but we did it a couple of seasons ago, didn't we?
We did,
and we were well ahead at Christmas.
I was just going to say we played a lot of difficult fixtures. We played Spurs away. No, not that's difficult fixture, but like it's one of those ones that you look at the start of the season, isn't it? So Spurs away, Villa away,
City away,
Chelsea away,
Chelsea away, Newcastle
Liverpool
away,
Liverpool away as well.
Liverpool at home. We haven't played Liverpool. Liverpool away is the only one we've not done.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at that and think, do you know what? Actually, there aren't that many horror fixtures. Unfortunately, I think the Anfield game is like 3 games from the end of the season. It's like it's really at that like. But we might not even be in it by that point. But...
Well, that could be a title decider, couldn't it?
There could be a Michael Thomas moment coming up this season.
Thomas.
Yeah, you've got to enjoy it, haven't you? Though you've got to enjoy. It's part of the fun, isn't it? Is the jeopardy.
I'd be good. I'd be gutted if Liverpool and Ian Richardson will play on this, but I'll be absolutely gutted if Liverpool win because I don't know what it is about them, but they are the team that I can't stand almost. But I think go on.
I understand it. I think we're lying to ourselves if we think we're any different. Because let's be honest, I will be insufferable if Arsenal win the league. I'm going to say that now. I'll be on that group every day, posting all sorts of memes and gifs and things. So
you started off that the other reason why we keep getting this top of the league thing every
the Leeds
week.
One, isn't it? Yeah, the Leeds. We are top of the league. I was going to ask as well, thinking about youngsters this year. So Ethan Nwaneri's had quite a good season, hasn't he? Considering how old is he? Is he 17?
17, yeah.
And he doesn't look 17 when he's on the pitch, does he? He looks very comfortable. Playing the first team men's fixtures.
Yeah, he's got to stay. He's something else.
Well, we signed him to a long term because I think we signed him to a long term contract last year or something because he was at the end of his contract and there were loads. I think Real Madrid and stuff were sniffing around and we managed to tie him down for I don't know how long, 5 years or whatever. But and I think is it Miles Lewis Skelly who's not quite as come up far on as Ethan Nwaneri.
He's my new favourite Arsenal player for getting himself booked without even being on the pitch.
I do like we are quite guilty of that. I mean, Arteta is very guilty of it. I love watching him when I'm at the Emirates and he just never sits down. He's just constantly on his feet. Like
you're right behind him as well, aren't you? You're right. Right near him as well. Yeah.
Behind and to the left. Yeah. So it's like, where the players warm up is pretty much right in front of us. But you can see it's quite good because when the goals go in at the in the North Bank end. You can see the goal and you can see his reaction at the same time. It's all in one sort of shot, but he's really good. Nwaneri is brilliant. I think he needs to be managed. Like there's all these calls like, just to start him and all the fixtures. And it's like, well, it's great, but he needs to be managed. At 17 years old. I don't know. I can't remember what Saka was doing at 17, but I don't think he was playing every single game.
He was our sort of he was coming on, wasn't he, for about 15, 20 minutes at the end of a game at right back normally.
Yes, he was, wasn't he?
Right back and then sort of gradually moved up the field. But I think Arteta's the right man to do that. To be honest, to look after those kids and sort of say, look, come on, your time's coming. And him and Skelly are probably both going to get a lot of time this season with the injuries we've got. They won't necessarily start games. Nwaneri might do, but if we're starting someone like Raheem Sterling or some other person that's not got, they're not going to have 90 minutes in them. or not a full 90 minutes in them anyway. So they're going to get 20 minutes at the end of a game here and there. And if we get a decent cup run together, they'll get some games there as well, won't they? So I think there's plenty of time coming up for them. But like you say, I don't think we can start saying he's had a couple of good games. We need to start him every week because it's going to ruin him.
Yeah, because nobody, I think Saka, he's 23 and he's, I'm sure I saw a stat the other day that he's 23 and he's had 85 assists, and Phil Foden at that age had something like 50 something, and it's all to do with the amount of games that they played, a lot of it, so you don't want to overplay them at a young age because you get to a point where they get burnt out and you lose the best years. So
I mean, you look at Saka at the moment and the way he's playing, and he's had to completely change his game almost because whenever he tries to run, he's got two people on him. So now he's got to look for where that gap's come from because there's always two people on him. If you put a young lad, put a young 17-year-old in that position and say, right, there's going to be two blokes on you, well, you're going to burn out really, really quickly. You're going to find that physically really hard and mentally really hard. You're not going to be able to get your own way on the pitch ever. And all of a sudden, they're going to start doubting, am I good enough to play in this league? And yes, you are. But the reason you are is the reason you're finding it so hard.
I feel like I really wish our left wing was as good as our right, because I feel like that's the only thing that's like, Martinelli's really good and Trossard's really good. They're just not as, there are very few players that are as consistent as Saka. But we do tend to lump a lot of stuff down. Well, but when Ødegaard plays, it tends to go down that side, doesn't it? And as a result, that defensively teams set up a little bit like that. But it's really hard if you've got like a really good right winger and a really good left winger. It then gets really hard for teams to set up against that.
I thought we were going to get to that because before Saka had a couple of years ago, before Martinelli had that injury or recent injury, he was on fire. He was the level that Saka is now, but the problem is he's not continued it. He got injured and he's struggled since. So
mind you, Trossard's injured again now, isn't he? He's picked up a knock. Playing internationals,
Oh, God.
So I don't know how long that is. I've not done any reading on it, but I read a headline today that he's picked up a knock. So you'll be seeing more of Martinelli, I think, probably in the next few weeks. Say maybe he'll get some of that form back. Fingers crossed.
It's confidence. It's all confidence football. It's even having played football. It's amazing what a goal does. All of a sudden you stop worrying about things and you just start doing things a bit more instinctively. And
what's it the pundits say? He just needs one to go in off his backside or something like that.
Sometimes that's all it's and I was a bit gutted in the Chelsea game when Havertz's goal got ruled out, because I thought, I just feel like every now and then he just needs a goal, doesn't he, to keep things ticking over. And no. It's all good. It's all good. We shall see. We shall see. We'll come back.
I think I've been quite vocal on it recently. I don't think the refereeing across the league needs to improve. My opinion is that all these decisions. You look at the Declan Rice thing where he was sent off and he was kicked and. It's ridiculous. This kicking the ball away thing is just insane. Well, and it seems to be happening more and more. And we had 3 people sent off pretty much in 3 weeks or whatever it was, and it didn't seem to happen to anybody else. So I think that has a big impact on things. Everybody will say. I think you ask a Chelsea fan and they'll say the same. You ask a Liverpool fan, they'll say the same about them. I think
when your coach calls out the entire refereeing staff for the FA as being incompetent cheats, I think that probably means you're going to get every decision applied to the letter of the law too. I don't think he did us any favours there, did he?
But yeah, it's difficult. It's hard, isn't it? The referees and
It could be worse. You could get filmed slagging off Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool, and then say this doesn't go any further. Don't tell anyone.
I mean, it's quite funny, isn't it? Because everyone kind of collectively, you kind of went, oh, and then there was a big pause, and you're like, he's right though, isn't he?
Oh, no one. To be fair, no one in the press has said he's wrong. They've just made maybe he shouldn't
incorrect in what he said. Yeah. Just probably shouldn't be saying that as a top flight referee.
I don't quite. The thing that I don't quite understand is, back in the day, Kalina was the epitome of a great referee. Respect for the players had respect for him. He used common sense on the pitch. And more often than not, there might have been a tackle potentially that he'd wave off, and the players would be, he would literally just say, "Oh well, actually, this is the reason," and the players would accept it. And we, you look at the Champions League referee, and it's completely different. And I actually think some referees that you wouldn't expect to be, because they're not a well-known name. In the Champions League, it's completely refereed completely differently. And I actually think that if you brought whatever they're doing differently in the Champions League needs to be brought into the Premier League to match it. And if it's a case of we bring in foreign referees to referee the Premier League, I don't understand why every referee has to be English. It makes no sense to me. If the referee is, if it's the best league in the world, so we need the best referees in the world. You don't need referees that all they care about is be in the limelight, so they make a decision that means that they'll be talked about for the rest of the time. And that's the big problem, I think. And
was it who was it? The ref, was it either last season or the season before against us? And it was was it Zinchenko possibly got a yellow? Didn't even realise he'd got a yellow because the ball hadn't gone out of play. And then got a second yellow. I can't think what he did, but he committed an infringement that got him a yellow. But because the ball hadn't gone out, the ref hadn't been able to go back to him to book him.
Oh,
so
right.
So he carried on playing without realising he had a yellow.
Right, there's your first, there's your second. Off you go. Well, hang on a minute. I didn't even know I got the first one. Because in long time that would have been, well, there's your first yellow card, and then. After that, right, calm yourself down. You're on one. You don't want to go. But he was just looking for an excuse to be able to do that. And it's like, oh, come on, mate, behave yourself. It's like when you've got people trying to do silly things like that, or you've had the ball kicked against your ankle and it's gone 6 foot. You can have a second booking for that. So, come on, just where's the common sense gone?
No, it's non-existent.
The game will be made better, I think, if they introduce some sort of sin bin type situation. For some of them, because some of the things you can get yellow cards for, it's just a bit silly, I think, in my opinion. So, like kicking the ball away, all right, it's stupid, and the letter of the law is you shouldn't do it, and at the moment it's a yellow card offence. But to be honest, are we honestly saying that? Some tactical time wasting is the same level of offence as a quite aggressive tackle that isn't quite off the ground. You know what I mean? Like some yellow card tackles that are like borderline red card. You think, is that really the same thing? Should we be punishing this in the same way? And I just feel
look at some of those challenges though and think, I got away with that when I was younger. That wasn't even a thing. That was just a good tackle. It was just a really good meaty tackle, and net. You leave a bit on
crunching tackle. Yeah. The crunching tackle doesn't exist anymore, does it?
Yeah, no. It's like, unfortunately, you upset 3 blades of grass as you went through on him, so you've got a yellow card. Oh, okay. That's how we play this now, is it? Okay.
The game has definitely changed. If you ever watch some of the, definitely some of the 70s footage, it's like a different sport almost. Who was it who posted was it the Charity Shield or the FA Cup final, one of the Leeds Liverpool game where Kevin Keegan gets sent off eventually, but before he gets sent off, I think a Leeds player has full on just punched another player, and then they've just gone. It's probably a yellow. Like, it's just like completely different levels now to what is acceptable. And
Well, you look at the Arsenal United derbies back in the 90s.
Oh God,
And
Keane and Vieira.
the bust ups all over the pitch. And in the end, the ref was just like, I don't know who's hit who, who's headbutted who. Just you look over there, you look over there, calm down.
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous. I mean, you mentioned it a minute ago. The most ridiculous decision I've ever seen recently. Not saying I've watched every single decision, but the ball touching Rice's ankle and it going out of play, and then that guy from Brighton like kicking 10 things out of him, and he literally kicked, and the ref was like, "Oh, he was trying to take a quick free kick." Bollocks, was he? He was.
The ball wasn't even there to be kicked.
No, it was like
it wasn't even late to the party. He just kicked him,
and he didn't even get a yellow card for that. I wouldn't be so miffed about it if the guy had been sent off for kicking Rice. In my opinion, because he should have been sent off for kicking Rice. But
it was Van Hecker, wasn't it? It's the same guy who dragged Haaland down last weekend.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think so. And then had a sort of barmy with Pep after the game. So yeah,
you'd love him if he was on your team, wouldn't you?
Right,
if he
was on your
team,
some abuse.
Absolutely love it.
He's going to get some abuse next season, isn't he?
I'm quite liking Calafiori for he's got a bit of fire about him, isn't he? He just seems to run around smiling, annoying people.
Just like, Ben White's good at that. Ben White's good at pissing people off.
Just like knock someone over or leave a bit on them in a tackle, and when they get up, he's like just all smiles and hiya.
Winds you up even more.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's time that you guys did the quiz. This one of the rules of coming on the podcast is that everyone has to do the quiz, and you get your name on the leaderboard, which I did make once and then never actually published it. So we do have a leaderboard, which I will publish.
Have you had anybody with 0 points yet?
Yeah, me. When I did it, Tris, I don't know where he got his questions from, but it wasn't the same websites that I get mine from. It was like you the only way you'd have known the answers would have been if you were like a hardcore Arsenal stato.
I like where you're going with that question though, Rich. Like, what have we got to live up to here?
Yeah.
0 is the baseline.
Yeah.
0 is
the low bar. Good.
We won't hear the last of it if we get 0. I know I won't anyway.
So, apologies in advance. I've got a bank of questions here. I've no idea whether the first questions will be easier than the second lot of questions. But have you got a preference of who wants to go first, or
no? Do you want to go first, Rich?
Should we go? We'll go with Rich first. Get it out of the way. So you get 90 seconds. You need to answer as many questions as you can in that 90 seconds, and I will attempt to tally them as we go, because that's the other thing I don't do very well. That Tris normally has to step in and tell me how many points that people have actually scored. Okay, here we go. So, question 1: which club did Herbert Chapman join Arsenal from in 1925?
Norwich.
That's incorrect. We'll come back to that. Upon breaking the Arsenal goal-scoring record with his 179th Gunners goal, Ian Wright unveiled a T-shirt that said what?
Just done it.
Very good. Question 3: who wrote Fever Pitch, a loose memoir based on being an Arsenal fan?
Oh no, I do know this. Oh, pass. Forgotten his name.
We'll come back to that one. Question 4: who played in goal for Arsenal in the 2017 FA Cup final?
Oh God. Pass.
No pass. Question 5: which of these players was never Arsenal's record signing? Alexander Lacazette, Andre Arshavin, Ian Wright, or Samir Nasri?
Ian Wright.
correct.
Oh, bloody hell.
Question 6. Which Gooner is the only player to have been awarded first, second, and third in one BBC Goal of the Month competition?
Say that again, sorry.
So your time is up, but this is we'll finish the last question. Yeah. So which Gooner is the only player to have been awarded first, second, and third in one BBC Goal of the Month competition? So presumably he scored 3 goals that month, and he won first, second, and third.
Oh, right, Bergkamp.
That's correct. That would have been my guess as well. Very good. You got 2. So that's pretty good. The ones that you didn't get. So question 1. So Herbert Chapman, he actually joined from Huddersfield.
Oh, of course he did. Yeah.
They've got a little museum at the stadium in Huddersfield for him, which is it's quite a nice link between the 2 clubs. It was Nick Hornby who was the author of Fever Pitch.
Yeah.
And I think the goalkeeper who played for Arsenal in 2017 was, I want to say Ospina, but yeah, David Ospina. Was he Colombian?
Yeah,
Colombian goalkeeper.
Colombian, yeah.
And the only player of those listed that was never Arsenal's record signing was Samir Nasri.
Okay.
Arshavin broke Sylvain Wiltord's record in 2009. Lacazette broke Mesut Ozil's record, and presumably Ian Wright. Yeah, Ian Wright broke it first in 1991. So 2 is good. That's about average, I'd say. Okay. So that's a good, respectable score. Jim is now very worried.
I'm sure he'll do better than me.
Okay, are you ready?
Go on then.
Here we go. Okay, question 1. Who were the final opponents to visit Highbury in 2006?
West Ham?
That's incorrect. Question 2. Which of these clubs have Arsenal not clinched the title on the home ground of? Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United, Tottenham.
Have we not?
Yeah, not.
Sing
the song in your head.
I am.
Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United, Tottenham. If not, just guess one.
Old Trafford.
No,
that's in the song. They're all in the song.
No,
we'll come back to it. Right, question 3. Between 2001 and 2003, Arsenal made 3 FA Cup finals. Who did they not play a semi-final during in this time? Middlesbrough, Sheffield United, Tottenham Hotspur, West Ham United.
Middlesbrough.
That's incorrect. So we have to come back to these. Which Arsenal legend is the only player to have captained a side to 3 titles across 3 different decades?
Tony Adams.
That's correct. Well done. Question 11, and this is we started, so we'll finish. So question 11, which club did Arsenal sign Mohamed El Neni from? That's a difficult question.
Oh God, that's
El Neni.
I think I might know this one.
Shakhtar?
Is it Besiktas?
Wait, you can't. It's his questions. You can't come in.
If he's got it right, I'll take the point.
You know what? It's not. Although actually, I think they were one of the options. It was Basel.
Oh, of course, it was Basel. Yeah.
So you got one. You don't have the misfortune of joining me on the bottom step of the ladder. Who did? So the final opponents to visit Highbury was Wigan.
West Ham was the first team, wasn't it, to beat us at the Emirates?
Arsenal haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only club that we haven't won the league at of those 3 was Chelsea. Yeah. So
sing the song in your head.
Anfield. Isn't it? We've won the league at Anfield. We've won it at the Lane.
89 in Anfield.
We've won it at the Lane.
Something about Old Trafford.
Stamford Bridge, Old Trafford. No one can say the
is it
same.
Stamford Bridge?
Yep.
Okay,
No,
right.
we haven't won it. We haven't won it at Stamford Bridge. I'm sure we haven't.
When did we win the league at Stamford
It was
Bridge?
probably very, very old. It's probably like when it was the old First Division rather than the Premier League.
Right, we're gonna have to Google this because you might be good for two there. Have Arsenal won the league? This is where we find out that you've been singing different lyrics to everyone else.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I've got the wrong song sheet.
Oh no, there we have. Do you know what? That's a bad question. Right, you can have a point for that. You can have 2. There we go.
Yay.
So yeah, 1934.
So it really was the old First Division.
Yeah, which was the year that Herbert Chapman died.
We must be the only team that's done it out of those teams. Out of Arsenal, Liverpool, United, and Tottenham and Chelsea, I bet we're the only team that have won at those 5 grounds.
I think it's quite rare to do that, isn't it? Anyway, it's quite you need a degree of fate to be on your side as well. Apologies, I go based off of the questions I'm given. I don't even question it. Let's just go back to the quiz. So what were the other questions you got asked? That's right. There was a question. It was between 2001 and 2003. Arsenal made 3 FA Cup finals.
Who didn't they play a semi against?
That was a hard one.
Who did they not play a semi-final during this time?
What were the choices again?
Middlesbrough, Sheffield United, Tottenham Hotspur, West Ham. I think it might have been Sheffield. Oh no, Sheffield United was the David Seaman.
Yeah, it was.
On the line save, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it Spurs?
Yep. Was that a semi-final though? That Sheffield United. Because do you remember we played them?
I think
we had a replay, didn't we, against Sheffield United one year in the FA Cup because of the offside gate where Overmars took the ball and ran it.
Oh God, yeah, I remember that.
He got thrown back in. Overmars took the ball and ran it, squared it. I think it was Canu or someone scored, and then Arsene Wenger gave him a replay because he said it wasn't within the spirit of the game.
Mm.
Okay, so the answer was West Ham. So we played Tottenham in 2001 in the semi-finals, Middlesbrough in 2002, and Sheffield United in 2003.
Okay.
So
I wouldn't have got that right. That was a hard one.
You got the.
They're all hard, aren't they? When you're being timed and it's a quiz.
Yeah,
it is different.
Life gets harder.
Funny.
I still can't believe it. I'm never going to live that down. The fact that I couldn't remember Nick Hornby. I mean, Jesus Christ.
When you listen to it, you think, "Oh, do you know what? It's not that much pressure." when you have to actually do it, you start sweating. Well, I've given you both 2 there, which is a respectable score, and you can have you hold your heads high. So thanks for coming, guys. That's been really good fun. Been nice to talk about Arsenal and offload some of the worries and the woes.
Well, thank you for having us.
Good rest of the season. So for people listening, this was the November episode. We've got another episode planned in December. It's going to be a Christmas special, bit of fun. Not a specific topic. We're going to do a extended quiz and test the knowledge of the guys who are coming on, who both confess that they don't have that much football knowledge. So it should be quite fun to listen to.
Who have you got on? Shepp?
It's Mark Farrell and Andy Norris. So if they're listening to this, your number's coming. Your number's up.
Oh well, you've got to send the Arsenal fan. Andy Norris needs to get swatting up.
It'll be good. It'll be good fun. The plan is to do a quite light-hearted episode. So that'll be. We plan to record that in the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks and release it round about Christmas time. So keep your eyes peeled for that. So once again, thank you, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we will see you all, or hear you. You'll hear us next time.